Welcome to the Waiting List podcast. Tell us a story.
It's like many things you start building from scratch.
And then I'm like, wait, I really do like watches because
you've seen so many watches that makes you excited.
I think I really do like watches.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to see if you are a watch enthusiast.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Waiting List podcast. Today on our show, we have the legendary Marco Concina, better known as SWISSWATCHGANG. I am sure many of you are familiar with his Instagram account, and more recently, he started YouTube. As always, I am joined with my co-hosts, Dan and Alex. So welcome, Marco.
Thank you guys for having me. It's nice to be here. I listened to all your episodes. I made sure Dan knows that.
Nice.
So I'm really a big fan. You probably the only podcast I listen to on a regular basis. Not to be.
Just out of interest, which one's your favorite episode so far?
My favorite so far, maybe because I know her in person, maybe Lung Lungs. I also love the Ariel Adams episode, so I'm waiting for part 2.
I was just about to say, out of 3 of us, who do you like most?
I mean, for now, I have to go with Lung Lung. No offense, because
it's okay.
I'll take that. No, I'll take that.
Is it because she's got a pair of tits?
Can I just say?
No, she fed me.
Okay, even though Marco says this, he couldn't even find me in a cafe when we met for the first time in Singapore. He actually walked up to some other Asian girl. He can't even tell the difference.
Are you Lung?
Well, yeah. I do have experience of that, so there's not a lot I can say about that.
Yeah, I heard the story.
Yeah, and having known how much Lung Lung uses Facetune, I'm also not surprised. You know.
Yes.
All right. Now,
please
I need to say something first. So I just have to say I'm actually really excited, and I don't usually get so excited, but I'm excited because I think of all the people I connect with on Instagram, usually you have a sense like, okay, I'm going to get along with this person or not. But with you, Marco, it was like, now we're never going to be friends. Like, you're probably this really, because I didn't know where you were from, right? So I was like, he's probably this like Swiss guy, we'll never get along, And then I remember this so vividly. I was getting a foot massage in Shenzhen, and I was texting you. So it was nighttime for me, and it was so I guess afternoon for you, right? And then I can just remember it was so weird. I was like lying there getting a foot massage, just like all these girls walking around in like tight uniforms. And then I was like, whatever. And then I was texting you. And then I remember thinking, oh my God, this guy has the same kind of sarcasm and humor as me. But the thing that struck me was we were talking about how you set up SWISSWATCHGANG and everything. And I realized, shit, this guy reads, like, not just, I read like one book. Like, you really fucking read a lot. And the way that you were describing how you motivated yourself, how you set everything up, I was like, wow, we're actually very similar. So I'm super excited to do this because I feel after people hear this, they're going to be super surprised that you are, I would say, very different from how people perceive you, like on Instagram and on YouTube. Yeah,
thank you. That's high praise. So I think with Instagram, when you meet people online, there's always this possibility of either going really well when you meet in person or going south. With you, I had we were getting along a lot on via text on Instagram, so I was like, okay, that's a cool conversation. You like watches. We know some of the same authors regarding books as well. We like food. So let's see how this goes in person. But we were together for 3-4 hours. I think we went you took me to a few Singapore spots because you knew I watched the movie
Crazy
Rich Asians. So you took me to all those spots, picked me up in your car, which I was like blown away by as well. The seat couldn't have been more reclined. That's what I remember as well.
I remember we met the first time I saw you was right outside a bathroom.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. In the what's the restaurant's place?
PS Cafe.
Yes, exactly. So I came. I didn't see you. I made a mistake already. I'm like, okay, let's go to the bathroom, and maybe when I come back, she'll be here. And you also went to the bathroom, so we met in front of the door. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was super humid. Huh? I remember that. My
yeah.
God, I'm not used to Singaporean humidity.
Yeah. All
Nobody
right.
is probably.
Yeah, no one is. Let's begin with your accent. So
Yeah.
where are you from?
So I was born and raised in Slovenia, in Ljubljana. It's the main capital. I lived there for 20 years.
Okay.
And on my 20th birthday, or one day after it, I moved to Zurich, Switzerland.
Okay.
So basically, that's what Swiss Watch Gang is, not Swiss at all.
Uh-huh.
But as I also was studying this phenomenon, most of the biggest
Watch gang.
yeah, so Slovenia Watch Gang. But as I was thinking about that fact, like I remember that most of the biggest Instagram accounts about watches are not from Switzerland.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
is
if
true.
you think about Daily Watch, I fucking love watches, Vertigo, just numbers wise, none of them is from Switzerland.
Yeah.
So which is surprising when you think about it, because we do have all the access, right? Like yesterday I went to Geneva to pick up a watch for my review, and I can bring it back next week. You know, did I have to ship it or something else? But yeah, Slovenia originally.
Okay, where is Borat from?
I think it's from Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan. That's right. It's very close. Long.
Okay, just checking.
No,
Right,
but
sorry, who came first? So like Swiss Watch Gang and Shanghai Watch Gang. Who stole the name from each other?
I think Swiss Watch Gang came first. Yeah.
2016, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I saw like a few others with the name Gang in it as well. So I made Gang because basically it sounds more youthful and more. I like hip hop. Like I listened to hip hop my whole life, like very intensely. So for me, you know, Swiss Watch Society Club was a bit too bougie, a bit too, you know, stuck up. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm this young guy, and I followed a car YouTuber back in the day who had his own club. It was called a Cup Gang, Cars Unite People Gang. And I'm like, okay, gang sounds like a, you know, youthful, cool name. So let's do that. So that's how Swiss Watch Gang came about.
Nice. And then I know at a young age, you originally wanted to get into gymnastics, right?
Gymnastics.
Yeah, is that right?
No,
like
I used to dance hip hop. Maybe that's
no. You're kidding. You're kidding. Yeah. Okay, so
mate, I just think when I see your ass, mate, there's no way you're doing any gymnastics. Fuck me,
this
mate.
This is why I literally in my questions. Okay, so what happened?
I agree with that.
I think
yeah, okay, right.
So Marco did you did another podcast or interview recently, right? And yes. I don't think it was done in English or something. So the translation was basically saying that you wanted to be a gymnast. And then I was like, how far? And my question was, how far away is your body from being like from the gymnast?
It couldn't be further away from it.
You're quite lucky though.
It's gonna be different.
You're quite lucky because you don't put it on your face. So
no, exactly.
I was watching the intro or something about you, and I saw you get off the tram on the step onto Basel, right? And then you do this whole like look up thing, yeah. But before that, you're walking to a watch store, and then there's a behind shot, and I thought. He's a bit of a big boy there. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
A big boy, you know.
He's thick.
And it's
thick bone.
No. The guy just likes his food. Yeah, the guy just likes his food.
Yes.
No,
but
hey, he has a fit body. He just has a really round ass.
Like, it's women usually envy it. Just some TMI for the listeners.
That's true. Okay, I mean, just going back to the gang, man. As long as it's good that you didn't call it Slovenia Watch Gang, because that just sounds like a criminal
actual gang, right?
Yeah, criminal activity there, right?
You're gonna get ripped off immediately.
But actually, you know, I put the word gang in Shanghai Watch Gang for the same reason. I didn't want it to be like club and like stuck up and to be honest, it was a young group, right? So exactly. Came up with that kind of name for it.
You have to think about, let's say, when you hear Watch Gang, okay, you don't think it's gonna be snobby and somebody will come up with a 3-piece suit and I mean I do wear them in Basel, but it just I want people that are younger to relate to me, and the idea was to create a club as well. So when I do the community or the club in Zurich, the goal is to exactly also be you know, so they can approach me, you know, the young guys, my age and lower, you know. I don't want to talk to the, I mean, I have friends who are much older as well who collect watches, but the primary goal is to nurture the youth and the, you know, the next generation, let's say.
All right. So
I do apologize. I want to cut you up there. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned that you want to nurture the young generation. I mean, how old are you? Sorry, Marco.
I'm 28.
Yeah, so you're very young yourself. So what is it that you want to kind of bring to the table to these young kids?
I want to basically, so Swiss Watching from the beginning was very focused on pushing independence, right? Like if you go way back to the account, you're probably, the first posts are probably independent watches. I mean, I'm sure they are. Because I came into the watch world, my passion came from this high-end, let's say, segment. The first watches that I remember when I saw them in 2010 were like MB&F Urwerk, and also Breguet Tourbillon and Vacheron Constantin Malte Tourbillon. So that's the like earliest memory I have of watches in magazines. My family didn't have watches, so I was never, you know, like brought up with, I need to own a Rolex one day or Omega. Slovenia is also a bit on the, it's developing, but the medium income is 1,000 euros per month. So buying a Rolex or Omega or whatever is nearly impossible. People wore like watches there you don't even know, probably like zero watches and just weird stuff. So my mind was free in terms of what do I like first, you know. So independence, I want to educate about the independence, which I do on my channel. You see watches which most of people never saw before. It does not help me with growth because there's no SEO, nobody's searching for them. But it helps on a very small level, you know. So when somebody has $7,000 or whatever, he can pick up like a cool independent, which suits his personality a bit more. Yeah.
Okay, so going back a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you actually study in college? I know this is a whole part about you dropping out of college, but initially, what did you study?
Yeah, so my whole life as a child already, I wanted to be a simultaneous translator, I think it's called. So I wanted to work in the court, translating, you know, from German, English, Slovenian, whatever, those three languages basically.
Okay.
So I finished my not high school, but we call it gymnasium. So you can qualify to go on.
I think that's why I said
not gym,
gymnasium, not gymnast, gymnasium.
Maybe,
it's
yeah.
not gymnasium. Okay.
Yeah,
hey, I just think like I got gymnastics and hip hop dancing. I think you're somewhere in the middle, and I think that's called ballet. Yeah, I just see you prancing around in a little tutu, like balleting around. Can you actually do that for me? Yeah, can you do it on your?
Sure, he's well versed. Yeah.
When you shout us out on your Instagram page, which you will do, yeah, can you put it with a photo of you in a pink tutu? Yeah, in that kind of like a classic tutu kind of leg shape, right? And say supporting the waiting list podcast, because that would actually make my day.
Kudos right there if you can do it for us.
Yeah.
Let me write this thing down.
To-do list.
Podcast photo. I need to find Photoshop that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a 4 of minute tutu yet, you know.
That's easy.
Quote unquote.
Wow.
Make sure to find one that like a dancer that has a round ass though. You need a good.
I gotta go to the big boy club for sure.
I don't shave.
I never do. TMI again for the channel. They love it.
Okay.
So no, the school, I basically finished my let's say high school. And then the one I always wanted to go to, and I was accepted to the college I was, you know, dreaming about basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started college, and I dropped out like 6 months later because first of all, we were just partying, because you meet all these new people from around the country, you know, because if you want to study something, you usually go to Ljubljana. It's the main capital, right? So that's where most of the colleges are. And then I just felt bored, you know. I loved languages. I loved, you know, English and German, because I learned it like as a child already, from watching television, basically. So I knew the language fluently, both of them. But I mean, English, I need a bit of, let's say, more vocabulary, but it's okay. And the college actually made me hate languages, you know. So because we had 12 courses on 3 languages. So it went really deep and boring. You know, we learned about how your tongue reacts when you say this word on like phonetics, you know, it was, and I was like, do I need this to really learn about languages and get like, you know, passionate about it? So I started looking for what I want to do, you know, and my mom always pushed me to do, to go into a business school, which should have been a, you know, your mom knows you best situation. But I think also if I would go to business school in Slovenia, it would not bring me to where I am today. So in hindsight, everything makes sense, right? All the things you didn't like and all the things you like bring you to the place you are at now, which couldn't get better, basically. You know?
Okay, so we know. Well, okay, for the listeners, you obviously you're very close to your family. They're very supportive. You had a great childhood. At what point did you say, okay, I'm dropping out of college?
So I saw my grandmother's watch. That's the story, you know, on the YouTube channel as well. And she showed me the movement. You know, it was an old watch. I don't remember what it was anymore. But I'm just like, wow, this mechanics thing is cool, you know. But I was never an engineer type of guy, so I'm not smart enough to be an engineer or, you know, figure out, you know, solutions and, you know, mathematical, you know, complex, how do you call it, lines, whatever. But I just like the appeal of it, you know. I always liked also like cars, not to this extent as watches, but I just liked the mechanical stuff. And I started reading about it, you know, magazines, you know, online, YouTube videos. And I was like, oh, this stuff is cool, you know. And I suddenly just kind of like struck me, oh, I want to be a watchmaker, you know. I don't know how. It just like lightning bolt situations, like, oh, boom, that's it. I know it. Solution. And then I'm like, okay, like, what are you gonna do? You're in Slovenia. Like, you couldn't be also like further away from a watchmaking culture, you know. There's no culture there. So I also went to a few local shops because they have, I think, in Slovenia, I think at the time we had Rolex, IWC, BG. I remember Ulysse Nardin, the alarm watch. I think it's a Sonata, if I'm not mistaken. I saw that for 50K and my mind was blown. I'm like, oh my God, this is a watch for 50K and I can, you know, see it. But as a 19-year-old, imagine going into a shop with no watch and the people like distrusting you. They do the same thing today as well. When I go into a watch shop in Zurich, they think, okay, what is this guy doing here? You know, until they see you care about watches as much or more as they do. The salespeople. So I found a school in Switzerland, which is called WOSTEP. It's a Watchmakers of Switzerland technical education program in Neuchâtel. And I wrote to them. I'm like, hey guys, I'm from Slovenia. I love watches. I want to enroll in your school. What's the options, you know? And they told me, hey, we have this option for, I think it was 2 years, which costs 20-something thousand or 40,000 if you also want to live in the campus, you know, which now I think it's a good price considering that I know the prices in Switzerland. But at the time it was like unimaginable because, you know, my mom makes let's say 20K a year. My dad makes 8K a year. So imagine spending this money on, you know, something else. I had a great childhood. We had, you know, live in a house. My mom is very driven as well. Also came from Bosnia, so she's not Slovenian. So she had this also immigrant passion or drive, you know. Yeah, exactly. And then basically I said, okay, the only chance for me to do is to go to Switzerland, earn money, and 4 years later go to school. So I moved out of my family house. I moved in with my grandma, where my uncle lived at the time. And we did this like plan, you know, okay, Marco, you need to go to this city because the salaries there are like this. At the end, we found out that Zurich has the highest minimum salary, which was I think 2.7 thousand Swiss francs.
Okay.
And I already spoke German. Initially, I wanted to go to Neuchâtel, and I don't speak French, but I didn't care because I was so like blindly, let's say, driven to just do it. You know, whatever happens, happens. I'll figure it out, basically.
Yeah.
I know a bit of French now, just a few words, but not enough to have a conversation.
Like croissant.
Yeah, like croissant. That's it. You know? And bonjour. You know, that's it.
Just get around. Bonjour, croissant.
I can say that I don't speak French. I can say je ne parle pas français, and people
that's all about. That's all I say when I go to Switzerland. Je ne comprends pas. Je ne comprends pas. And then okay, like just carry on.
Exactly. So essentially, we made this grand plan, and at the time we had like my uncle had a like a life coach, you know, for business as well, because he's also an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And she told me, okay, if you really want to do this, the life coach, she said you have to set up a date. Okay. So I said, okay, on my birthday, I'm gonna go to Switzerland. You know, it was 6 months away.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had, I think, 5-6 jobs in the meantime, so I can gather up some money.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to take money from my family. I just told my mom, listen, I'm gonna go to Switzerland. She's like, do whatever you want, because she was a bit fed up with me, as she knew I wasn't doing college, and I was you know, jumping around what I want to do. And
you were just being you, Marco.
Yeah, I was just trying. I was 19 years old, trying to figure out my wish goal of being a translator. Just, you know, crumbled, and I was lost, basically, right? So she's like, I support you, but just decide, basically, you know, something. Like go for a path. I said, okay, moved out. Moving out from, in that sense, meant I moved out 1 kilometer further down the road, you know.
1 kilometer is a move still.
Yeah, listen, it was a power move, huh?
Yeah.
And then essentially just started, you know, saving up money. And middle of August, my brother said as well, I want to come with you. I'm like, okay. He's 3 years older. I told him, okay, it's gonna be tough. We don't know anybody in Switzerland. So just think about that, you know. It's like, we don't have family there to, you know, go to and sleep, and, you know, we'll figure it out. No, we like went with I went with 1,200 euros. And I took money from my mom. She gave me 200 euros. I'm like, I'm taking that and nothing else, because I said either I go and make it, or I'm dying, basically. That was, it sounds very exaggerated, but in my mind it was, I make it or black. I don't know, you know. So my uncle Joe was there. Thankfully, my mom met 2 people that lived in Zurich 1 week prior, so we slept at their place for 1 week. And we went door to door, you know, knocking on jobs. So I was a bartender, basically. That was the beginning.
Sorry to like come in here, but I was waiting for you to finish before I asked you this question, because I'd actually prefer a little bit of context, because we had a little laugh earlier about how, you know, if you'd call it Slovenia Watch Gang, you know, people would have thought it was like a organized crime unit or something. And that's unfortunately the kind of stereotype I have of Slovenia, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, right?
Yeah.
And to give a kind of context of where you came from, how difficult it was, it'd be great if you could actually tell us a bit more about Slovenia. Like, what kind of, you kind of touched upon it on like the wages your parents were on, but you know, what is average wage? What kind of place is it? Is it like, why do we have these stereotypes? What is it actually like? And I think we would be able to put it into better context with a contrast with then Switzerland.
Absolutely. So let's say Slovenia, in comparison to Switzerland, is 1 time. So it's 1 time smaller than Switzerland, but it has 4 times less people. So I think we are at 1.9, almost 2 million people in Slovenia. The majority of, it's like a 1 building block in Hong Kong, basically. The majority live in Ljubljana. It's the main capital. I mean, the majority, I think one quarter of them live there. The minimum salary, is like, I think around 350, 400 euros. The living costs are very high.
For how like 300, 400 euros a week or a month or what?
A month.
300, 400 euros a month we're talking about?
Yes.
Fuck me.
The minimum, if you're like a cleaning lady or whatever. The medium,
basically, isn't it?
Yeah. The medium wage is 1K, but the medium wage is in Switzerland 7,000 something, and I don't know many people that have 7,000. You know what I mean? The majority have much less, right? because the rich push the average much higher. Ljubljana is actually developing a lot. So Slovenia is the first country in the ex-Yugoslavia which became independent. So our neighbors are to the north, Austria, to the west, we have Italy, to the south, we have Croatia, and on the, let's say, northeast, we have Hungary. So we are usually, people say Slovakia, but Slovakia is, I think, 2 countries more to the right. And we are not Eastern Europe. We are technically Central Europe, as the Balkans were. But usually they think, yeah, we're just Eastern European country with no knowledge or something. But actually, technology and IT work is very developed there. A lot of luxury advertisement is made in Slovenia, like Rolls-Royce and Mercedes-Benz, because it's a small country with everything. We have mountains, we have the ocean, we have the flatlands. So from 1 hour from the city, which is the center of Ljubljana, you can reach the mountains, ski resorts, ocean, whatever. I was brought up in a my mom has 2.5 a month, but she's the CEO of a retirement home with like a lot of responsibility. But that's like the top, maybe the president has, I would say, 1K more, like she has a master's degree and everything. But if she would make a doctorate now in her place, she would get maybe $100 a month more. So it's like almost not worth the hassle, right? In Switzerland, doing a doctorate versus a master's probably gets you 5 or more K a month, like the difference is crazy. And the taxes are super high in Slovenia, right?
How much?
If you have a, let's say, 3K a month salary, probably the income tax is like 45-50%. So essentially, and
that's why your population is 1.9 million.
Exactly.
Like, who wants to be there, man? But it sounds like,
man.
Is the main industry kind of like what you just said, IT and like scenic tourism, I guess? And
I mean, tourism is great because it was voted, like Ljubljana was voted, I think, the greenest capital in Europe at one point. Because again, it's like and the natural landscapes are not so polluted yet. So we have a lot of beautiful sites. Like if you Google Slovenia and Ljubljana and look at the pictures, you'll see like some cool stuff,
Yeah. I'll probably search for the chicks first, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I do that as well. But so it's good to live there. To create a business is also okay. But remember, it's a very small market, right? So in the agency world, you have a lot of competition and a few main guys which make basically there's a lot more monopolies there, right? Because it's small and first movers and they control everything basically.
So for someone like you, did you actually travel around a lot as a kid? Like, was going to Switzerland, had you done it before loads of times, so it wasn't really that much of a stepping stone, or had you never left the country? So
never.
Okay.
So we are in the European Union since 2006, so we can travel, anywhere we want.
Yeah.
Again, like I moved away when I was 19. The only travel I had was each summer we went to Croatia for summer holidays. We drove there by car.
Yeah.
Because my mom, we had to decide basically, are we doing winter holidays or summer? And me and my brother always loved the ocean, so we never went to winter holidays basically. So I don't know how to ski, because it was too expensive, right? So we had to choose one or the other. But again, great stuff. My mom, really, and my dad really made sure we are in a good position. So if we had like struggles with food, because that was present in the 90s, when Slovenia, got separated from Yugoslavia, all that stuff. My grandma helped us, and my, so we had food on the table. But there were places I know where like my parents didn't have enough, so.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm getting is, you really.
I never went to Switzerland. Yeah.
You really did come from humble beginnings, and you kind of went for it. So that's good. I mean, like, I think it's really good to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would say, like, humble, like when people say, are you rich and blah blah, and I would say I was rich in Slovenia in every sense, just not financially. right? So I know of rich people who had a horrible childhood, and I'm like, on the outside you think, oh, I envy this guy, but when you know him, you're like, oh shit, you had it fucking bad, you know. Like I think having the support of the family is like immensely incredible, you know, and lucky, right? So we still talk to each other every day almost. My uncle is a big supporter, you know. I help him also if he needs something in Switzerland. And yeah, just this blind basically support is like crazy. Like, you want to do this, Marco? You know, because I have a lot of, let's say, business ideas. My mom is just like, yeah, just go try it. Like, worst case you can do is, and my uncle told me that before you have a decision about business or an idea, it's like, okay, you think about, you ask yourself a few questions. You say, okay, is somebody that you love gonna die if you try this, like your family or whatever? And you know, answer is no, of course not. Like, are you gonna, you know, die or, you know, be harmed or, you know, get sick if you do this? Like, no. Then okay, why not do it, you know?
But I think it's great that you have this family support, because I don't know, especially like coming from Hong Kong, right? I still think it's too financially related. You know, if the parents can't see the monetary thing straight away, or see it, basically, for you to go on a whim and say, I'm going to Switzerland, well, what are you going to do? All this kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't think there's that support network. Plus the fact that a lot of parents, not out of choice, you know, they work so hard in Hong Kong, they hardly have any time with the kids anyway. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. Your childhood you didn't want for anything, so it sounds very healthy.
And my mom was always, you know, like supportive of my stuff. Like I used to dance hip hop for 4 years professionally, so like I the goal was always to be good at things, you know. Like I started when I was first year of high school, which is super late to start dancing, right? Like extremely late. People start when they're children. And on my 4th year of high school, we won the world championship. We went to the Ukraine. There was like a world championship there in street dance, and we won, you know, because the goal was for me always to improve and to be the best I can. And my mom supported, and imagine she paid 100 euros per month just for dance classes. Like a year, that's like one salary, you know. So
so you shouldn't let it go to waste. You should definitely make some hip hop dance videos.
I think at the start of your interviews from now on going forward, you should definitely do a routine where you dance before you begin.
I totally agree.
But it helped immensely in terms of being comfortable in your skin, you know, because dancing on a stage with 25 people and, you know, hundreds of people watching you, the stage fright goes away slowly, you know. So for me, acting or, you know, like being a presenter or like a host now with YouTube becomes more easier, you know. Because of that, I think.
I mean, I want my little girl to perhaps do a bit of drama, you know, because I think what I've noticed when I meet people that do drama, especially from a young age, they speak so eloquently, so confidently, have an air about them. They can express themselves perfectly in a room or one-to-one, and they have this confidence that I've never really felt it. Like, it's so marked when I've met somebody who's had that kind of training at a young age.
Yeah, it helps definitely. I would advise that for sure. Or dancing, like, because you meet people, you get comfortable with your body, with you know, being in front of other people. Like I know the last year I did a duo dance. So me and a girl, we created the choreography, and that was the hardest because in a group of 24, it's a bit easy because you hide, you know, behind the other ones a bit. You're not the point of, you know, all the views. But in a duo dance, it was just you and the girl. So
send me the video, yeah. Send me the video after.
I'll try to find them. I have photos.
Oh, here we go. I'll try and find it. Yeah, here we go.
I gotta dig into the Facebook.
Yeah. What you're gonna do is you're gonna Photoshop your face on Michael Jackson or something. Yeah, and then you're gonna say, hey, "This guy, he suddenly got the moves."
No, it was funny. It was a fun period. It was a fun period for sure. It helped me get more confident, and I lost a lot of weight back in the day. I gained it back now, so all good.
So when you won the championship, didn't you consider like making it to a full-time job or something where you can go to like the US, go to LA, do performances, get big bucks there?
No, because for me, the goal, okay, so when I started dancing, my goal was to get in the first group of dancers in Slovenia, which essentially means you are you are in the top group of the dance school, okay? So that was the goal. So for me, the goal was achieved. I'm like, okay, I'm good now. And I also knew a lot of dancers who I didn't want to be 35 and dancing like, I wanted to be something different. It looked like a struggle, like, and the money is not the best, huh? And the competition is crazy high. And also because some people, again, like I said, are talented as hell. They start dancing at 3-4 years old, and when they're my age, they knew like all the dances plus the techniques, and so it was never a business idea. Or I basically I stopped when we won the same year. I stopped dancing because my goal was achieved. My mind shifted.
I've been trying to like hold in my laughter because I find it so funny that like Alex looks up to you, right? So he's like, okay, like, have you not thought about pursuing dance in LA? And it's like all professional. And in my head, I'm like, have you not thought about like it's Marco?
Slovenia's good enough. Like Slovenia's as good as it gets.
I'm like, Marco is gonna be a stripper in Vegas. Like, what
listen, we never know.
All right, let me be serious for a second. So, okay, so you're doing shitty jobs, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned that when you were a waiter, you used to just tell yourself like, you are better than this, right? Was this like something that has always been constant in your life, like being very positive, or was this something that you developed from like reading all those books?
So it's let's say two things. I was very positive my whole life because my mother is also, we call her the sunshine, and her nickname for me is also sunshine. Like, I was always the kid who was laughing and smiling and having a good time. So yeah, like positivity was always a big thing, and I just always kind of maybe intuitively knew that being negative about stuff will not bring you anything. And I'm a very, like, if you check my YouTube comments, because I answer to all the comments, I'm always, oh, glad you like it. Oh, so cool to hear. I'm never the guy who will bash on something, because also watch reviews, let's say, for me are, my opinion doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that you won't like it, So I was always a happy, positive guy. But when you move to Switzerland with your brother and you start as a bartender, because that's the job they gave you, as a, knock on doors, you convince the guy, hey, please give me a chance. I'm gonna die for you, basically, if you just give me the opportunity. My brother was cleaning toilets, and he also was independent in Slovenia. So it's not that we came like dumb and like, like we had good jobs back in, I mean, not me, but he had a good job back in Slovenia. And I just basically started reading all these books, right? Because my uncle told me, hey, read this book, and then it spiraled. So my goal was then to read one book a week, from Dale Carnegie to Jim Rohn. So I was either reading or had something in my AirPods, like
Jim Rohn's quite a motivational speaker. Yeah, Jim Rohn's quite a motivational speaker, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes, and Les Brown as well. Had different intensity. But basically I had to reprogram my mind, because again, my family doesn't come from an entrepreneurial background. My uncle does, so he was a big part of it. But like, so my uncle has a subtitling company in Slovenia, right? So they do subtitles for network televisions, and also I think since this year they got Netflix as well. So they translate from English to all the Slavic languages, and also the Eastern European, depends. So he had this language stuff figured out as well. That's why also maybe I was inspired to be a translator, subconsciously, to work with my uncle, right? So essentially I started reading all these books, and I brainwashed myself to get a different mentality, and also because I came alone to Switzerland, I had this idea of, after 4 years having enough money for this watchmaking school, I had this plan and discipline to keep on track. And yeah, during those, I was a bartender for 5 years, right? So from 20 to 25, I was a bartender. The last 2 years were by choice, because I saw that it's a great job where you don't have to be mentally present, but you can earn enough money to support yourself, okay, because you got also tips. So I could basically go work physically, get the job done, and go home and still be free, you know, in my mind, to figure out what I want to do. So I read all these books, and also in between the breaks when I was a bartender, I went to the bathroom or the wardrobe or whatever, and just sat down and, you know, repeated a few words to myself. And I had like a card in my wallet which had a few goals written down, and also like motivational quotes. As corny as it sounds, that stuff, like, you know, really saved my life and turned it into this direction now, because you are not brought up like, hey, you can do this.
Lung's laughing
here. Yeah,
so
you know why I'm laughing, right? Because you have just met your match. You guys can have a showdown. Alex and you can just quotes nonstop.
Yeah, when I heard that question that Long just asked, you see, doing the, well, as you say, shitty jobs, the way I felt, and Alex, I think you can come into this one as well. Like, it doesn't teach you something, but you feel like you don't want to do this again, for this isn't the way I want to live my life, right? And what it does that the book doesn't teach you, like, this is why I have a query on some books, is because that feeling isn't always translated in the book. That lowest part where you're like, I've cleaned toilets. I used to work down in the supermarket, right? I remember, I don't know if you guys think about it, but with the stuff, when people take stuff from the front line, right? And then everything's further back, right? And so there's a guy that goes around the whole store, right? And he has to move everything forward, right? So it's easy for the customer to pick up. And, I'm not the tallest kind of guy, and my arms are like not the longest. So I remember my arm ache used to be fucking shit because I was just doing it myself. And those times, where you're like cleaning mirrors and all this kind of stuff, it sucked. It sucked in the way I knew I was better than this. I can do more with my life. And I remember really clearly thinking, whatever I do, I don't want to be doing this. Right. So I'm not sure if teach is the right word, but that feeling that you grow up with, that is the motivation, like for at least me, how I felt, like to get myself out of there. And I don't want to compare like my family to yours, because by the sounds of it, I came from more fortunate environment. It's just my mom just chucked me into these places. But I think the books articulate mental ideas really well that you would have thought about. And if you did think about them, it could maybe take you a year or something, and you read it in the book and then you get it. But I don't want to go on for too long, but I remember this. Has everyone seen Good Will Hunting? That film, Good Will Hunting, yes, with Matt Damon and Robin Williams. Well, there's a perfect area where they're on this bench, and Matt Damon's a genius. But Robin Williams talks to him and says, like, have you ever, like, faced loss before, And he like quotes it off a book. But what Robin Williams points out is, you've never had, your friend dying in your hands. You've never experienced it. So that experience, and why it's so valuable in any kind of career, is because it teaches some things that sometimes aren't so easy to articulate in the book. But I don't know how you feel about that, Alex.
Well, contextually, I think you've got a point, because certain experiences, if neither of us have ever experienced it, we'll never know. But what the book is meant to do for you is just kind of meant to be a portal. It's something that you just kind of look through, search for something that can spark something that you didn't know before. But I would say what the most important thing that the book should inspire you to do is take some sort of action. If you read it, you think, oh, it's a great book, and you don't do anything, it's not really the book's fault, it's your fault. So the way I see it is I preach myself to absorb as much information as possible, but I match that with equal amount of hard work. And I think that's how you get the most out of the book.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah.
So the reason why I'm reading, and I'll be honest with you, there are certain books which I just like. I was so close to putting down because I thought it was a load of shit. Then you just read one quote and you think, damn, like you just think that actually helped you a lot. And it's just what you're just looking for those hidden gems which you didn't think about before, and you're like, yeah, that really helped me.
I think yeah, it actually brings me onto my next question, because I think a lot of people who listen to this, they go, yeah, I read a lot. I read this, I read that. They read every single help book out there, but then no one can actually translate that into action, right? So everybody reads a book probably at night, right? They start reading, and then, or they're watching YouTube, they're listening to a podcast, and they go, yeah, tomorrow morning I'm going to start. Tomorrow I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to exercise. And then the next day comes and they're fucking lazy and the alarm rings. They're like, okay, snooze, right? So what are some things that you guys did specifically, and it has to be very specific, that translated to action? Like, for example, like Marco mentioned that you have to write down dates. Like, you can't just say, I want this to manifest, I want this to happen. You have to say, on my birthday, this is happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you put, like, since you mentioned, was it the gym just now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, I think that's a good one to start off with, where somebody like will get quite easily. So for me, and I think I've told you this before, I don't go to the gym unless I got my diet sorted out, right? So in my mind, categorically, yeah, I will, like, you can't say tomorrow, right? I'm going to work my ass off and get a six pack in a week, right? It's got to be small steps and small goals, right? That you have to break it down, and then over consistency, you get to where you need to get to. So I think, and I end up writing it out. I don't know if you guys do. I write stuff out, and like, because it helps clear my mind out, helps, like, I guess I'm brainstorming with myself, but I write it all out, and then literally I do brainstorm, and then I try and make it some sort of like logical pattern, and I see if it's achievable. But I think it is like small steps. I think a lot of people, why they don't take action, is because they set the bar so high at the start that it's not really realistic. So anyway, that's my point of view.
And also, let's say, what's maybe the hardest thing to do is to not compare yourself to others, because you never know what they come from.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good advice.
I had these struggles a lot of the times, building a IG channel and now YouTube as well. And just in general, I'm like, okay, this guy has more watches, or this guy has more views and subscribers. And then I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's like, maybe he got the money. Maybe he is working 3 times much more harder than you are. Maybe he's using other platforms. His optimizations are better. Like, always compare yourself. I know with my videos, which still don't get a lot of views, some of them, because again, I talk about some niche brands. I'm like, okay, Marco, you're not happy at the moment, but remember the day when you got 200 views in 1 week for the video, and now you get 1K per day, at the beginning of the launch, right? So, okay, so you progressed. Like, don't be an idiot and beat yourself down when essentially you are moving in the trajectory goes up, and also, like, it was with collecting watches, with putting money aside, like, don't compare yourself to others. Like, use others as an inspiration, maybe, like, okay, I like this guy's, collection or whatever, or channel. I want to be like this, but don't compare yourself, because again, you don't know what the other man is doing or what his background is, And again, like you said, then write stuff down. For me, I have a diary with goals. So before I became independent, I actually wrote down how much revenue I want to make in the first year. And I made 7,000 less. So essentially, I was like, shit, I was not that far off, And I didn't have clients that would support this goal. I had one client who made, let's say, 30% of it, but the rest were just blind, ambition. And I'll do everything physically I can to get new clients so I can achieve this goal, right? When I got the goal, I was like, the first thought, oh shit, I missed for 7K, for 7%. And then I'm like, you fucking idiot. You started in January, you hit this goal, which was twice as much as you made money as a bartender, where like you said before with the arm ache, I also fucked up my wrists and all that stuff because you wear the heavy plates all the time, and the knees and all that stuff. So just compare to yourself, write goals down in a diary or whatever, and then look at them 1 year later. You'll be surprised how much of these things actually you achieved if you work at it, right? You can't just read books and, hey, you're gonna do it, yeah, and then just go and watch Netflix, right? It's fucking stupid, you know.
Do you know what, right? I can't wait for Alex's answer.
Yeah.
hit me, man.
Alex.
Hit me.
No, I'm not going to hit you.
Start us with a quote.
No. The best thing I ever heard was someone I quite admire was called Simon Woodroff. So he brought Yo Sushi, so the sushi conveyor belt to London.
Yeah.
And he said one thing which really caught me very early on. And he goes, when I was starting up, I used to make calls deliberately to get rejected. And I put some time to think about that. And he goes, I made calls to get rejected. And he used to celebrate every time he had someone said no. And I said, why is he doing that? It's like, who wants to get no's? But what that was, when you thought about it more deeply, was he's trying to test himself of his resilience so you can get to where you want to be. Because with business or anything in life, you have to get to a place, right? And rejection and failures is always a thing you have to come across. And a lot of people, the reason why they're not successful is because they're not prepared to be rejected or to experience the word no. So for me, that was the first thing I really want to test myself on. And to come to think of it, like people say, what do you want? You want to be happy? You want to make money? You want to do something that you have fun with? Do things that you're talented at? Like all these different things. I don't think any of them really make sense. The one that really does make sense to me is you have to work out from when you're 20 to 30 through experience, what are you good at? What can you contribute that no one else can, that you can think you can do better than anyone else? And when you go home at night thinking that, you know what, I can do this and no one else can, that gives you a lot of joy. And if you're delivering something, so whatever it is, like Marco, you like watches, if you can say to yourself, I can leave the craft and the art of watchmaking better than I found it, you've done a great job. So for me, if I want to do business, if I can say to myself, I can do this business project better than anyone else, and I can leave it for the next generation to use it as a stepping stone, then you've done well. Then all the other stuff like happy, fun, money, that will come anyway. But the first thing is, I would say to people, learn how to be rejected and not beat yourself over it. And then secondly, deliver something to society where you can go, I did that. And people can use that as a platform to rise further up. That's how
man, that is like TED Talk Alex, man. Like, fuck me.
You
usually need to do that, man.
Dan, I could see the whole time that you were dying to say something. So how was getting rejected all the time working out for you so far, Alex? How does it feel?
I'm gonna say, right, as Alex's friend, right, like for our Chinese audience, right, 他脸皮就是最厚的 like 他脸皮很厚 like he's like so thick-skinned. It's like unbelievable. It's like, and he just keeps coming back. He just keeps coming back for more and more and more.
Yeah, nothing beats being persistence, isn't it?
All right. So where do you go to get rejected? Like, who are you talking to? Do you DM all these Miss World on Instagram?
Actually, that's a good start. I didn't think of that. No. But what you mean by rejection is you're not just looking for the easy rejections. You have to speak up with people. Like if you want something done, let's say you want a job, right? Just go knock on doors yourself. Go ask the top guys. Go speak to people that, you might actually get a no, but you think if they, for some whatever reason, say yes, they can propel you to somewhere that you never thought. So one example was when I first started my business in wealth management, I wasn't going to, I'll tell you the truth. I used to talk to people on the elevator. I used to be in a coffee shop.
We believe that.
Next to me. I used to like cold calls. So like that's how, but then the best advice I ever got was someone from an elevator. He looked at me and he said to me, so which department are you in? And I said, I'm not a lawyer. Exactly. It's like, I'm not a lawyer. And I said to him, I went to see a client. Then basically we exchanged contacts. And then he said to me, No, I said to him, can I just arrange a coffee? Because I would really want to know more about you. Then it turns out he was like the managing partner of the firm. We start chatting over coffee. And that hour, he taught me everything realistically about how to serve lawyers the best. And from that, I was able to like call these guys all day long and get it all sorted, basically. That's how I started.
Nice.
But you also used to do the cold calling as well. Man, the rejection level on that must be super high, right?
Well, the thing is, you have to improve as well. So I think I said in my previous podcast, I used to play a game with myself. I did 52 cold calls a day. So it's like 52 deck cards in a deck, right? So there's bound to be 4 aces. And then I got better at it. So I was able to get like 26 and someone come out, 13, someone come out. My best ever day was I made 5 calls and 4 people came out. So
came out what, do you mean?
To see me, to talk about investments.
Oh, right. I thought you are some like homosexual hotline or something.
No. Or sells Daniel's body. Well, I want to call you because I've got this really nice proposition to sell Daniel's body to you.
Hey, you wouldn't have got much business for that then. No, but I think I think so serious though. Yeah, Alex, why did you just not ask questions to the wall? You know, you're just not going to get any answer and get rejected.
But you want to get somewhere, you stupid.
No, but okay, all right. Anyway. Jokes apart, right? I actually think you're right. I think a lot of people have a problem hearing the word no, and and because they have a problem hearing the word no, they don't ask. And I don't think I really have a problem asking, because I don't really. If you are ever afraid of hearing the word no, I think you should go back to Marco's advice. What's the worst that's going to happen, right? Yeah. Are you going to lose a job? Are you going to lose food? I mean, he's just going to say no, right? And my experience is a no is just, especially in China, nothing's a no. A no is you just haven't found the right way to ask or do it, right? So...
Well, I want to add to that. So the best answer, of course, is a yes. The second best answer is a no. The worst answer is let me think about it or I'll get back to you. I hate those responses. I just say to him, just give me a right up no, or tell me what I need to do to get a yes. Because like those ones you just wait forever.
Like
oh no, yeah, exactly. If you're going for a female, that's another story. Then you have to play the waiting game. But I mean, like in business, it should be you know the person you're speaking to should be good enough to decide whether it's good or not. Otherwise,
so maybe next time, you know, the girl can go up to you and say, "I'll put you on the waiting list."
Yeah, literally.
All right, let's bring it back. Yeah.
But it's a good point because statistically, the more you get rejected, the sooner you will succeed, right?
Yeah.
So SWISSWATCHGANG or my companies that I have now were not the first thing I tried, right?
Yeah.
So you have to read books, okay? You have to program yourself to be this guy mentally, but also have to, in the real world, like Alex said, like actually do shit. So you gotta try this company or idea you have and it fails. Like you have to lose money. Yeah. And also the main maybe idea would be you have to first give to receive. So there's no receiving before giving, right? So like all my stuff is also in the media world, basically. You have to give like years before you get a client from, you know, for your business now, because they say, oh, you support us for 3 years. Of course, let's give you this job now. You know, like, yeah, no shit. Makes, thank you.
About time.
About time.
Bloody time.
Yes, exactly. So the more you try and fail, the sooner you will get there, you know. It's a numbers game, you know, like they say, with women and also with businesses, same thing. The more you ask, the sooner you'll get a yes, and the sooner you'll find your wife or the business that makes you rich.
Are the girls are the girls in your room right now? Are they okay? Like, they're still fine, right?
There's only one. All good. She has
right.
AirPods on. I'm good.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Man, we are seriously fucking up this interview, man.
Okay, let's focus on bring it back. So let's talk about your Instagram. Last time I checked, you're at 232,000 followers, and I'm not even counting the ones on YouTube, right? Do you remember your first post on Instagram?
Oof, I don't. My first post, I don't remember. I think it's still up there, or it might not be, because I know I deleted a lot of the old posts to get the algorithm better, basically. So if you optimize let's say, if you delete posts, it might do better for your account as well, because Instagram algorithm thinks you have a lot of followers with less posts. So essentially you are let's say more successful in the algorithm world.
Okay.
But I'm losing followers now each day probably.
Do you know why?
I think because I post almost nothing now. So when I started YouTube, my mind was also in a bit of I was caught up in like, what should I post now? You know, so I started to post 3 posts per YouTube video, which got medium engagement because they were basically the same post, just different photos. And then, so it's a numbers game as well. Huh? So if I post every day, 1 photo per day, and let's say I make 1,000 followers per week, I always also lose a few. Okay. And if you post less, you just end up losing. So what my friends do, so with the big accounts, they just post 3, 4, 6 times a day in order to, at the end of the week, let's say, not break even, but be on the plus side, right?
Oh, okay.
And yeah, also, I think you have to also be realistic on Instagram. You know, I am posting photos, but I'm not, I think, giving, enough value as well. So, and Instagram used to be much easier. I know I used to post a photo and it got me a few hundred followers, like one photo.
Yeah.
Or the really big ones, which went viral, got me a few thousand followers, right? Now I'm lucky if I get discovered, you know, or now my viral post means, I think the last viral post I have was the AP unboxing I did on my page.
Yeah.
Which went to almost 200,000 impressions. But back in the day, that would go to probably 500,000, you know? I think so. So I started YouTube as a way to to create a second platform, and let's say for longevity reasons, basically as well.
It's probably still more than Horror Loop, though. Don't worry.
Think about the hip hop videos, though. I really do.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
TikTok,
for me, let's
TikTok.
say TikTok.
Put it on TikTok.
I have a TikTok account, but not that active.
Put that video. put the videos of you dancing on TikTok and with I think I've seen one where you do this fucking cheesy smile. Like, that will work too.
Yeah, for sure. I have cheesy smiles all over the place.
But do you think do you think the audience is getting a bit saturated? Like, first of all, you know, like the Watch Anish photos are, for me, kind of done, right? I mean, obviously it was new at the time, right? There's only so long before everybody's doing it and you think, oh, I've seen this now, right? And to keep, it is actually get harder and harder to push those barriers more. Your photos, your style is, for me, quite hard advertising. And quite color, like very colorful, saturation on the color. Where, you know, not so long ago, you've got like AYTY style. That kind of style was kind of popular for a little bit. The whole collected man, very popular for a little bit. It kind of moved off it a little bit. For me, at least, anyway. So do you think that's the reason? And are people actually getting bored of the Instagram and not even
listen, like the style of my photos, essentially each photographer account makes his own style. So I like sharp, I like colors, I like my photos sometimes maybe look too brandish, right? Not amateur wise. And I think the amateur, not amateur appeal, but more realistic daily look of organic look of the photo, like a collected man has, right? Because I know they shoot, I think, only with daylight. And it's not all sharp. It's not all, you know, smooth. You have grain in the photo. For me, grain and not sharp, I would die. I can't do that. You know, it's just not my style, right? I need to be, you know, I Photoshop if there's a reflection in a case I don't like, I Photoshop it out. I make it, I want to have it, because also that's part of my business, right? I B2B, we work with brands on creating content. So if a brand sees a nice photo, they're like, oh shit, I could use this type of photo. And Watch Anish style was groundbreaking, you know, at the time. Now, like you said, it's getting saturated. But also the platform is getting super crowded. You know, I can create a new account for Instagram now with watches in 1 hour. Just repost a bunch of stuff I like, and they have good engagement. And I have a new watch page where I love YouTube and podcasts as well. You have to actually do shit, you know, like with you guys as well, you have to know watches, you have to know people, they have to trust you. With YouTube as well, I need to, my goal to YouTube is, you see, I don't do videos where I don't have watches physically, right? That was a goal for me, that essentially I want to make a YouTube review, but I need to have the watch with me physically. And I said a lot of times no to brands for money as well on YouTube, where they're like, oh, we don't have this watch yet, but you can use these photos. And I'm like, I'm a professional creative agency with my guys. It just looks awful. And I think there's no added value if I don't have the piece here. And I try to accommodate. So on YouTube, good luck making an account on YouTube right now as easy as it is on Instagram. No fucking chance.
Yeah.
Learning the algorithm, getting over the first hurdle, which is 4,000 hours and 10,000 subscribers in 1 year. So you get added benefits, for algorithm and all that stuff, and that you're a creator. Or starting a podcast, you actually need to first know the language. Many of them don't know the language, probably English, that just repost, right? You need the connections. Like all the watches I have, I either need to know the brand and they need to trust me like a lot, right? I just went to Geneva to pick up a watch for a review from MBNF, right? So they need to trust me for 1 week that I'm going to actually get the watch back. It's as stupid as it sounds, right? Or you need to know people like collectors that trust you with their watches. Like most of my reviews are made with watches from the horophile, Amr, because I picked up just two right now. I'm going to them today because that's why I'm also in Lausanne. So it's much harder to do.
So what is the actual end goal for you with Instagram? Or are you just kind of figuring it out as you go?
Yeah. So the ultimate end goal as a businessman is to be financially independent and not dependent on any client. Okay. So essentially with YouTube, I already make ad revenue. So I could, let's say, move now to Thailand or Bali and just live with the ad money. I cannot do it in Switzerland because it's not big enough. But essentially the goal is to be, whatever pandemic or whatever happens, I have my money and it's working for me, either in stocks, because I also invest since 7 years. A very boring investor, but it's growing. Or have YouTube where the SEO machine makes you money, or have an audience and you sell them. I want to make an e-commerce shop as well. I'm building on that. So essentially, if all the brands go bust, I don't care. If all the clients, I lose them, I don't care. That's the end goal, to be debt free, basically, to have enough money to support yourself, whatever happens,
Okay.
And also to educate, like I love showing small brands who nobody knows about. And then they contact me, oh, we sold a few watches because of your YouTube video. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I'm like, yeah, good for you. Because the big brands, they sometimes are a bit more arrogant.
Yeah.
Like I have people messaging me, hey, I saw your Lange video. I bought one before COVID started. And I'm like, send me a photo on IG. I want to see how far this goes.
Yeah.
The guy sends me a photo on IG. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Essentially this translates into a buy. Or somebody wrote, I bought a Freak X Ulysse Nardin in Shanghai because I watched your video. And I'm like, yeah, no shit, because the video is the top video for the Ulysse Nardin Freak X watch, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck yeah, happy to help you, So, or like the
top salesperson.
Yeah.
So what are
like,
yeah.
It helps because you're not doing it just for views, but essentially you're helping somebody decide, and
so you want to be captain of your own ship, is what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I guess I used to think like that, but then it really begs the question, are you ever the captain of your own ship? Like, I think it's a mental state, but as you get bigger, let's say you have investors or you work with like the government or certain people, you're always potentially answering to somebody. I think it's very few people that don't like. Yeah, I mean, it's I appreciate the that's your aspiration, but is it how achievable is it? Yeah.
It depends again, I think, as well as like, what is that goal? You know, maybe being totally independent for me means having 10,000 a month and I'm good. You know, I can travel. I can, you know, it doesn't mean that you.
Is it enough?
Like
10,000 enough? You call up shop? Not, that's it?
No, of course not. I'm a greedy fucker.
I was going to question you there for a moment. Exactly. I was like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
Listen, the longer I'm independent, and I'm independent now since 3 years. So I became independent when I turned 25. The longer I am, the more I see this. Okay, like, does this make you happy? You know, all these studies. Like, I think you guys also touched on that in one podcast. I'm not sure that the happiness level doesn't go up after, I think, 9,000 a month or something. So why? And like you said, the government level, you know, businesses, I don't want to be there. I don't want to talk to those guys and they decide. I don't have investors now, and people offer me money to, you know, to be part of it. I'm like I love to sleep at night easily, you know,
and during stress. The day.
And during the day as well. Exactly.
18 hours
Sunday,
a day
by the way. So I think being efficient, sufficient financially, depends what you categorize, what the level is for you, right? For me, it would be, let's say, somewhere between 10 to 20,000, like each month consistently. Yeah. Like, if I close my businesses, I get that much of, I don't know, maybe compound interest or whatever, or like interest from the stocks, or I have enough money saved up or whatever. That's also happiness. Because again, I don't want to die at 40 years old because I got a stomach ulcer or something stupid like that as well, right? Like, I want to live, you know. And I learned this with business. Like, you don't want to die doing this, you know.
I've had stomach ulcers. Nothing wrong with them. I think it was
it's not
too much McDonald's in my
McDonald's and KFC.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing wrong with that. Is that consistent with you, Alex? Like, because I think like two 其實都廿幾萬一個月, right?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, 200K. Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that, right?
No, I for me, I think my dreams are a little bit big, so I think I have to kind of fulfill that before I move on, basically.
Like, I do aspire to be a multimillionaire, right? But again, I know and I recognize it's steps. So each year I wrote down what my revenue I wanted to be, essentially. But on the second year I saw, I think you went a bit ambitious there, you know? And I almost destroyed myself and my body. I started eating because I didn't reach it. And I'm like, Marco, you still made 50% more than last year. What the fuck are you complaining about, you know? You're succeeding, but just at a slower pace, maybe, you know?
When we talk about you as a watch collector for a minute, so because right now there's a lot of people know you for your Instagram, right? But you actually collect watches. I mean, you have there's an episode on YouTube where you show like most of your watches. Collection. Yeah. So when did you actually start collecting?
So I started collecting the year before I moved to Switzerland, basically.
Okay.
Maybe before, but not that intentionally. Like, I had watches before, like from the brand Zero. So it's 2 Z's and Aero. Like it's at the time I thought they were the shit. And I was so happy that I had them. I always had like maybe like a watch, but never wore it on a daily basis. So the first watch I got was the Omega Seamaster that you can see in my video. And that was the first watch I bought when I moved to Switzerland. And before I moved, I bought it. And in Switzerland, I went to the watchmaker to repair it, right? To change the oils and the dial as well. But I kept the old dial. So then I had, I think, a Rado watch. I bought that, like a full ceramic Rado watch. I paid the guy. I asked him if I can pay in 3 installments, right? So I paid, I think, 400 per month for this watch. I was so happy. I actually tested it with a Victorinox knife, Swiss knife, to see if it scratches. My brother was like, "Are you stupid?" My uncle was like, "Why do you buy a watch for $1,200? You want to scratch it?" I'm like, "Listen, it says it's ceramic. It doesn't scratch. I want to fucking test it, right?" And it didn't scratch. So thumbs up. Yeah. I sold that. And then there was a bunch of opportunities to buy and sell watches from Slovenia to Switzerland. All original, full disclosure. because we do have a watch community in Slovenia, but it's super small. So I basically bought two Rolexes over a period of 2 years. I bought 2 Rolexes, one Vacheron Patrimony, yellow gold with the date at 6 o'clock. I think it's a reference 85180. You just remember weird shit like that. And I sold it in Switzerland. So I bought in Slovenia, sold in Switzerland. And I made a lot of money doing that because the buying power in Switzerland was higher and the watches were sold immediately, right? I had an AP 15300 black dial in 2012. My dad just messaged me, hey, my friend has problems with his business. He might go to jail. He wants to sell his watch like ASAP. And he sends me a photo. I'm like, what's the price? He's like 4,000 euros.
Oh my God.
Bargain, man. Bargain.
Just for reference, in that year, a
140,000, wasn't it? So 14,000 euros, I think it was.
No, it was 9,500 to 11,000 was the going price for 15300 back in the day. I said this in the video this year, and people were like, "Oh, how did you buy it that cheap?" I'm like, "Guys, 2012, huh? Not 20." So I bought that. I told my dad, "Listen, you can go as much high as 8K, for the watch." He's like, "You serious?" Because they had some money on the side, and basically I helped them make more money with that. So I used their capital and a part of mine as to make more. I had a Zenith Rainbow, but those are all sold because I sold those watches in order to fund my first business, which was Amazon. I created watch winders.
You headed Amazon?
Yeah, I did fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah.
So I ordered 200 watch winders from Shenzhen and shipped them over to Chicago to the Amazon fulfillment center. And that was the first business. Back then, my name was San Marco Watch. That was the first IG account. San Marco. I still have the logo.
Sounds dodgy as fuck.
No, it
sounds like Filippo Loretti, where you blatantly probably like Eastern European, use an Italian name. You've basically tried to think. I don't know why you've gone Spanish. Why did you not go German or Swiss, right? And you put your name in it because you feel like a bit more like reliable. Yeah, a little bit authentic. I didn't actually bullshit. Yeah, but as soon as you say San Marco, I mean, do you know what I think of San Marco? I think of the pizzas. This pizza's called San Marco that you it's frozen at Tesco's.
but it is in Florence. There's the San Marco Square, which is in Venice. Sorry, Venice.
Yeah,
whatever. And there's a Ulysse Nardin watch I really like, which is called San Marco. It's reference number I forgot. But it's a blue guilloche enamel dial, vintage, like an older model. So that's why. And on the back it says San Marco with lion with wings. I don't know. It's a weird logo. So that's where the inspiration came from, and also it's Marco. Yeah.
So I mean, you see a lot of really nice watches now, right?
Yes.
So what makes you say, okay, I need this piece?
Now it's slowly shifting. Okay. So at the beginning, like a few of the watches I bought just because the price was good. Like I remember, and also we have this e-commerce platform in Switzerland where I sometimes buy stuff. Like I just bought this watch pendant and I bought another one because it was cheap. And I just like to hoard things sometimes. I sometimes buy a pocket watch because I think, oh, this is a cool pocket watch for a few $100. So I bought let's say I have a quarter repeater pocket watch I bought just because the price was good, and I always wanted a chiming watch. I can't afford a wristwatch yet, but slowly. But usually it depends. Like I bought the two that I have, the Bronzo, the Bucher edition, just because my friend Arab watch guy told me, hey Marco, this watch is launching, can you help us get it because you're in Zurich, Switzerland, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I bought one for myself and I still have it. The Tudor GMT I have was gifted to me, like I said, by my client Bayer. He said you can pick whichever Tudor you want because you're doing a good job for us. I'm like, thank you. The APs were always a Grail watch, so I'm on the waiting list, or as you guys say, it might not even exist for a few APs. I just found out yesterday that in the AP boutique in Geneva that white gold AP 15202 might not even be delivered to me anymore, because I think they stopped production, or they're really, really cautiously choosing their clients. So I think I might say no to that one anyway. But now it comes back a bit to what I really want to wear, right? So currently the watches I wear the most are the Hublot, Singapore Watch Club edition. That's my almost daily watch now.
Okay.
It's usually between that or the vintage Cartier Santos I have.
Okay.
Or now I'm wearing the Joker a lot as well.
Yeah, that suits you a lot. Yeah.
It has to fit my personality, you know?
Okay.
Like, and I also have some Grail watches, right? If COVID wouldn't have happened, I would buy myself a first generation 1815 next year.
Okay.
That was the goal. There's one on Corona which just begs to be bought. The rose gold edition with the black dial. I'm like, fuck, this is a perfect example. So I have Grails that I want to buy.
Yeah.
But which was that Grail? I didn't hear it.
1815 from Lange.
Okay.
Yeah. Rose gold black dial. Creamy white sub dials.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I love indies, so I want to get a UR110 in the future. Yeah. And I need a DB2 and DB28.
Need.
Which one? I don't know yet, but I just love the case is the preference. And
I want one of those. The one that Jorg's wearing right now, fuck me, man. Damn. Like every time I settle, that's the one. Yeah, that I'm gonna work to get that one right. A fucking new one comes out and I think, oh, for fuck's sake. Just settle down, boys. Settle down at DB, you know.
All right. Before I'm going to tie this up soon. So last question before we do quick fire, right? Yeah. We usually ask a lot of our guests anyways nowadays, what defines a watch enthusiast, a flipper, and a watch collector? So how do you define them?
A watch enthusiast, I would say, is somebody who buys the watch and doesn't care what you say. Like I get shit left and right for wanting to buy more Hublots.
Okay.
But I'm like, bro, it's for me. I'm gonna wear the watch. Like I want to buy a Hublot Orlinsky edition, the stainless steel. And people are like, are you stupid? They're like, this watch costs a few hundred to make. And I'm like, yeah, well, your Rolex also is very efficiently, programmed to be produced. So your Rolex costs also maybe $200 to make. Like it's steel pieces. Like it's not the production level at 1 million a year is like even worse than Hublot probably in terms of margins. I mean, even better for the business. So I think a enthusiast buys stuff he really likes for himself. Okay. Like I like the Joker. Yeah. I seldom get compliments from, let's say, normal people because Rolex is the master of all watches. And I'm like, yeah, but this watch costs more than the Rolex you like, essentially. Yeah. And I bought it for myself. And happy, I'm lucky enough that the price is going slightly up, so I'm not gonna lose money on it. But if I wouldn't care, because when I saw this watch, I'm like, it made me smile. So I'm like, yeah, I need this shit.
All right.
So I think a flipper, and I met a lot of them in my life as well. I think it really depends as well. Like, I think at the end of the day, when you buy a watch and you put your hard and money into it, you can do with it whatever you want.
Okay.
Like I've seen this now with the AP I have, right? I didn't flip it yet. Okay.
Okay.
Noted. But
yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yes. Like I still have it, but when I got on the list 1.5 years ago when life was going great. So this year when COVID hit, if I need the money for my business or my employees or something, I will not flinch. I'll sell it immediately, right? Okay. So I think it's because it's a big chunk of money that can support one person in my company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really depends why you flip it. And usually you never know why somebody flips it.
Yeah.
But I hate it though, because you cannot get some watches because they flip, Like I wanted to get I'm still waiting on my Pepsi GMT. I ordered one year after Basel, 1 month, after Basel World announced it. Still waiting on that because I just I think it's a classic, you know. But again, flippers I think are ruining a bit of the industry. But also I think the brands have to be more cautious who they sell to, or at least if you sell the watch, the brand should make maybe like a contingency of, hey, you got to tell us why or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
Depends on the watches and the prices. But the high-end stuff, like the APs above 50K, 40K, you know the clients usually, and you could ask them, hey, if you want to sell it, we have, let's say, a say in that, maybe, or we just want to know why. Okay. But yeah, it messes up the waiting lists if they exist, like you guys discussed once.
And then what about collectors then?
Again, depends which part of the world you look at, you know. I know people from the Middle East who have watches where I think, like, do you even wear them? Like, is it really like enthusiastically collecting because you love the product, or you just want to accumulate? Like, collectors also often are like accumulators of watches, like just because you have money and this new model comes out and you can buy it, they just buy it, you know. I think an enthusiast is like the guy who searches for a very specific watch for years, you know. Let's say you are 110 in this specific case, only maybe 5 were made, or you're the guy who hunts down the Eastwood, or what's the name, with the wooden bezel, you know?
Oh damn, that is so nice.
I know, I just got shivers, huh? So if you hunt for that just because you saw this watch, you know, I don't know how many years ago, I think that's really enthusiast. And you don't care what your neighbors say or anybody else, right? Because you bought it essentially for you. Like people who comment on my videos sometimes, but for the same price, you can buy a Seiko or you can buy a Rolex. I'm like, it's not the same customer. Yeah. It's somebody who buys a Mickey Eleta Time Burner, which is this weird watch. It costs $7,000, same as a Rolex or whatever, or Omega. It's not the same freaking customer. I met a collector in Zurich who has a U-boat watch and stuff like that. He loves them. I'm like, good for you. Like, I don't bash you because my taste is not up to par with yours, or like we don't like the same things. Yeah. That's why there's so many brands. We're allowed to explore what suits us, you know?
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
But the lines are blurred a bit.
Yeah, it's blurred. Yeah. Okay. Should we move on to quickfire? Okay, so quick questions, just some answer first thing. How do you relax? What do you do during your time off?
I like to go walk in the forest. I have a nice lake next to, like not far away from my home. So I like to go there. I do listen to your podcast when I go there because for that's as corny as it gets, right? As a guest.
We'll pay you later.
Yeah. No, we're not paying him. We can't afford him.
Yeah, dude,
we can't afford him.
10K.
Let's say when I relax, I like to have stuff around me which doesn't remind me of that much business.
Well, the Waiting List podcast does that. It's about watches.
No, it is. But you guys, it feels like I'm in a conversation with you guys. I'm just listening to what you guys talk about. So that's, doesn't like, it does like spark some ideas or interest in some watches or people. Yeah. But it's not like, hey, Marco, you need to go home and, write down all your clients and do this. It's like more relaxed. Or I listen to music, or I play video games. I play video games as well.
Cool. Europe or Asia?
Asia.
Okay. So top of your
head.
Why
is that?
Yeah.
So
can I say European girls or Asian girls?
Actually, I put that in brackets, but I was like, is that appropriate?
Don't worry, I can ask those kind of questions.
Okay,
that's exactly why I'm here for this podcast.
So visually, so you put them next to each other.
You're going to be specific here. This is like Marco's expertise here.
I'm going to preempt him. He's going to say visually Chinese chicks or Asian chicks, but when you actually go out with them, fuck, they're a nightmare. That's what he's going to say.
Oh, like visually, I like the exotic appeal. So I like Asian women visually, but for me, I don't care. I don't care at the end of the day, the skin color, where she's from. As long as we have a good vibe, that's it.
You don't discriminate hot chicks.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I'm all for them. Doesn't matter. But before I said that?
Give to receive, hey? That's what you said.
Exactly.
That will be the title of this episode.
Marco is a giver.
The art of giving.
Exactly.
Yeah. Marco, I think if next time I'm in Switzerland, me and you're going to be a bit of trouble.
Let's do it. Let me know.
Take me across the border. Take me to Slovenia. Sounds cheaper.
Oh, it is. It is. Now we go further south to Serbia and Bosnia.
Wait. Take me wherever you go.
But no watches. No watches. We got to buy two G-Shocks.
Leave Alex outside, yeah.
I'll stay outside. Don't worry about that.
No, there's enough for everybody, believe me. Anyway.
All right. Three must-read books.
3 must-read books.
Yeah, because I'm sure you have a lot. So just 3 that you can think of.
So from the top of my head, I would say, and you love this, Gary Vaynerchuk, jab, 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 right hook. I would say also anything on Dale Carnegie you can read. There's nothing wrong with that. The one that stuck the most is I think How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's I think the one that I have in my mind right now. And the third one would be The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
I read that.
That's a big. Yeah. That's the one essentially where you have to give and try, and essentially, it will happen. And alchemy is a big thing, right? Like everything we have and own is essentially, it was an idea at one point, right? Like me having a watch collection 10 years ago, I didn't think I'm going to have an AP, which I bought with my money and I'm keeping, not selling it to make a business for my Amazon venture. Like I can keep the watch now, essentially. I don't have to sell it, at the moment. So it's alchemy and that stuff basically. Envision, and it will, visualize and materialize. I think that's how they call it. And also you have to do shit.
Yeah, you have to do
not
shit.
Just sit and think.
AP or Patek?
AP.
Okay. Modern or vintage?
Modern, but vintage indies.
Okay.
I mean, the first generations.
So when you say vintage indies, name some.
I would say vintage indies are basically the first generations, the first models they made. Like I would go back and buy the Vianney Halter, the Classica, the Antigua. I would buy stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would go back and buy the old Jorns maybe, and just old Urwerks, because they have a lot of soul, It's how it started. I would love to buy maybe some of the Opus pieces, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the new ones are nice as well, but the old ones have a bit of a
where they started basically.
Yeah, personality,
Yeah,
exactly.
How about something like the original Freak?
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful piece.
Definitely.
Yeah. Carousel.
I think the new one, the new one. I think my favorite one is the Blue Cruiser from the Freak.
Yeah.
But like the new one, the Freak X.
Yeah.
The emotion, it's not there.
Yeah, it's not there. It's plasticky.
You need
it feels
that
so
stuff,
plastic. Yeah.
It made the little hinge. You open it. You see the big barrel in the back. That stuff. That's what you need. That's so
for people that don't know about Freak, what he's talking about is obviously the Freak was a very expensive watch that Ulysses Nardin came out, and it was kind of back into the indies, and it came out with this carousel movement. The way you turned the time, you had to move the case. There was no crown in it. Just amazing design. Yes. And then they've obviously decided to go mass market, and there's a crown in it now, but the quality of the product
and automatic movement.
Yeah, it's not there for me. Yeah,
it doesn't have the
pizzazz.
But
it does mean a lot more people can afford enjoy Freak.
Yes. Yeah. Which I'm all for. Again, you still have the majority of the
pros and cons
appeal. Yeah, you have pros and cons, exactly.
Noodles or pasta?
Noodles.
First place you would travel post-COVID?
Singapore.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Dude, you said Shanghai.
I was sorry. Whoever's editing, delete that. Shanghai. No, I was supposed to be in Singapore. No, sorry. I take everything back. Ljubljana. I was supposed to go to see my family, but who am I bullshitting? Singapore. The heart says what the heart says. Listen, I need me some sambal stingray and some chalongbao little sting.
You know, you can get them in Shanghai and Hong Kong as well.
I was in Hong Kong. I never been to Shanghai. That's also a goal to go to.
Singaporean girls dig him because he has all those like hip hop moves and shit. So
and I'm 6 feet and wide. That helps immensely as well.
Yeah. All right, that was all. Thank you, Marco. I hope you had fun.
Guys.
And I actually hope
I
hope I see you soon, especially in Singapore.
Yeah,
Thank you, Marco.
Me too. It was fun to be a part of this. I love it. Keep it up.
Now we've got to interview you again, so plenty of chances there.
And boy.
Thank you.
All right. For our listeners, if you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. You can find Marco on Instagram, YouTube under the handle SWISSWATCHGANG. Yeah. And by the way, Marco, when I was searching, just like researching and coming up with questions, you seem to be really active on Pinterest. So you can look for him too on Pinterest.
Yeah, I don't know if that's my account though. So, but yeah, thank you.
All right.
Follow Pinterest.
See you guys on the next episode.
See ya.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Waiting List podcast. Hit the subscribe button and the next episode will come straight to your phone as soon as it's ready. Whilst I'm here, please remember to leave a nice review and follow us on Instagram at the Waiting List podcast.